Why don't you start, Cedric, with the cold climate discussion?
Hey, it's Phil here. Can I ask a cold climate question about task 19?
Yes, please go ahead, Phil.
Just curious to know what is catching the interest of those on the international stage there. What is it that that gets them most interested in the task? I know you listed out a number of work streams, but yeah, is there something that's coming to the forefront in this area that you would prioritize? And maybe that's a question for Charles. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's probably more of a question for Charles. He's more tuned into the current research activities in within the task. I think he's in the. Looks like he's in the cold climate breakout room.
I just came back.
Oh,
so
there you go.
I missed the question, and I guess is the plan that we're continuing this here in the main room, or?
Yeah, that's the plan. Let's do 10 minutes of discussion on cold climate in the main room here. So Phil, can you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Charles. Just was asking about. I mean, there's that you gave the presentation there about what the kind of highlights were from task 19. What is it that's really capturing the imagination, or that is of primary focus to that group at this point? Are there things that you would sort of prioritize over others in that list?
Mm-hmm. So I think one of the main document that we've produced this year that will have an impact on the industry is all the standardization work that we're doing. So if you want to get into the details, I suggest you can attend the WinterWin conference, which is coming up in April. That's organized by the Swedish Wind Association. But basically, there are two pieces of certifications that are coming. First one is for project development. And so basically, there's a new IEC standard coming that will define how uncertainties must be evaluated for icing losses on a new wind farm. So this will have some impact on, well, the methodology you should use to evaluate icing on a new wind farm, and also the bankability of project. It's a standardization process, so it's been very long. I think we've been involved in this for over like 4 years now. The standard will be in the end issues in 2 parts. So first one is a new IEC-15 standard, which covers site assessment for wind farms. And then the second one is related to uncertainties. So that's one, I think, key piece of work coming up. The other one is about performance warranties for wind turbines and icing climates. And so all new installation these days, what owners are trying to get is a warranty of performance of any type of icing mitigation system in place, be icing or so we're working with the task to warranty of de-icing systems, and I know we're doing some tests in Canada to evaluate those warranties. So I know that these two are kind of a major topic. Then, and I'd say that's probably the third priority of the group is the same, but for ice throw risk assessment. But that's more of a, I would say, Central European priority, and may have less impact, I guess, here in Canada.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks. That's a big deal to standardize some of that work, and then even those guidelines, I think, will be a great contribution. Thanks.
If I could just pitch in into that, Phil, I've been doing some warranty assessment for some operators using what we call in our group alternative operational strategies, which includes IPS, but also like coatings and other stuff that's somewhat out of the box. So if anyone's interested in doing additional tests, then I'd say Charles and I can definitely work something out to help those operators to get along those guidelines and get the most out of their assets.
Oh, interesting. So you do some testing to demonstrate the life or the likelihood or the lifespan of that application, whether it's a leading edge protection or something like that, so that there's confidence in a warranty type program to say this is good for 3 years, 5 years, whatever, and then just quantifying what you can expect from the product. Is that it?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, do we have other questions on cold climate?
I had one quick one for the presenters that shared their presentation today, and that would be if you are comfortable in me sharing with Task 19 the presentations that were done today on the cold climate part, and yeah, if anyone has any objection to share what they're doing with Task 19. Take that as a yes. So
I have a question for you, Mr. Charles. I'm working with the simulations and the deep learning. It is possible to have data from the measurement that you have been done on GASPE?
yeah, sure. I think we could definitely take that into, I guess, another call. And I believe you have my contact email. So yeah, reach out and we can see what data can be made available. This is something we're working on at Energica. We have been operating that site for over 10 years now, and looking into how we can share more of that data for academic research specifically.
Okay, thank you. I'll be in
Yeah.
contact.
Is one of our goal in the annual planning. I don't know, Ryan, if you have a question on the climate change issue or.
Yeah, let's open the floor to any questions on the climate change aspect. Certainly, it's a very large area, obviously. You know, the work that you've done at Energica on the impact of climate change on the wind resource and things like that. That's obviously one aspect of it. The other aspects are, of course, like looking at there have been many studies modeling future capacity expansion of wind and how that can contribute to climate change targets. So that's another aspect. There's a lot of talk these days about power to gas applications as well, and potentially overbuilding renewables and using the excess generation for a number of applications, including hydrogen and ammonia production. And a lot of this is being explored in Europe and for offshore wind applications as well. So I guess one question for the group is you know, are there places that we can prioritize research like that in a Canadian context, or that we should be prioritizing these types of studies? So I'll just kind of open that question to the group. It's something to think about, and we'll be in probably in a couple weeks or months' time to talk about follow-up and potential for joint collaboration. So it'll be something to keep in mind.
It is something I've been wondering about, Ryan. And so even just to hear from Dr. Krug there about the Arctic, and we know it's warming faster there, and so whether the impacts will be greater. I'm curious about mountainous regions versus the plains. And so as we look ahead to what we can expect from our wind energy resources. Yeah, it's a big question mark that I think we're pushing off a little bit. And so I don't know if there is good quantification of degradation or increase in resource, and how much, where that band is, right? Is it just a little bit up and down that it might tighten your margins a little bit, or is it big enough that it's going to challenge the feasibility of some projects? I don't know.
Question, Charles. I don't remember exactly the result that we have with the project with Hydro-Québec that we did. I'm thinking it's the last year. And
yeah, I let Andrea.
Okay, perfect.
Answer Phil, and I can jump in for the project we have on climate change.
Yeah, sure. So I think it's a really deep question, and I hesitate to answer because I think we really have to think about, when we're oversizing systems, what are we compensating for that? And I think there's value to it, but you have to consider what are you going to be doing with that oversizing? What is it going to be going to a grid, or what type of storage or different type of way are you going to be using those excess electrons? And so I really think back to, how is everything in the cycle? We can't disconnect it. Everything is connected. So if we're going to replace it with something, we really have to deeply think about that. And so I hesitate to answer, but I'm curious to explore it further. I just need to reflect a bit more on that. And then in terms of mountainous versus plains, just wind flow in general is going to be very different around those regions. So they're very different wind cases, wind classes, and would require different scenarios in planning and implementation. That's the short answer. Does that work for what you needed? Or do you have it? Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of us are at. Yeah, so thanks for articulating it that way. Yeah.
And yeah, maybe I can jump in the project. So we're in the final year of that project. It's been a 3-year. Uranus, the climate center from University of Quebec in Montreal, and then as well as 3 grid operators. So Hydro-Québec, Ontario Power, I think, in Manitoba Hydro. I think the main concerns for them from a grid operator perspective is, will it change resource? Will this also affect major infrastructures such as like transmission lines, for examples? And so be on the lookout, I think, for publications. We're going to release public white papers related to this work. My colleague Marie-Lise Clément is working on this. They're in the final, I think, review of the document. It will contain all the results. What we've seen is that as temperature get warmer, of course, there's a much more impact in the Arctic than in the south. So far, I think preliminary results were showing that wind regimes will not change so much, whereas precipitations and possible icing events will increase a lot. So especially in the Arctic. So where you had the drier climate in the Arctic, you'll have a much more wet climate as climate change expand. And so I don't want to get into the details today, but the results are coming up. I think probably before September, there should be a public release of the outcome of that project.
Looking forward to it.
That's great. We'll keep our eye on for those publications. Any other questions from anyone or discussion topics regarding any of the presentations we saw today, or the topics of cold climate and climate change? Don't think I'm seeing any in the chat either. So
that Tracy is not here, but the question that he told us about the icing and the pitch motor is very interesting. But I don't know if you have people that wants to start on that.
I don't know, Cedric, how many pitch motors do we burn per year? I don't know that we've had specific issues with pitch motors, but that's something I think worth looking at for us as we evolve into independent operator. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but Senvion, the manufacturer of those turbines, went bankrupt. So that's probably a concern for several operators of these machines as they will move to a more independent operation.
Cedric, it's Scott here at Weekend. Our turbines are hydraulic pitch. However, we have had some issues, and just while on mute here, we've been thinking about what Tracy put forward, and even though they're not we don't have electric pitch motors, there could be something. There could be a learning opportunity. So I think maybe we'll get Marianne to kind of reach out through to Tracy and include you guys as well, and anyone else maybe on the call who's interested in discussion should let Marianne know.
Sure. On our side, we have a strong interest. It's sure that as an operator, we have no any specific issue because we are owner of Senvion. We have more issue, to be honest, with battery pack on the pitch motor than the pitch motor itself right now, and more in the last. I'm thinking 6 months ago, we have a more issue with the IGBT. That is a very big issue on our side. But on the pitch motor itself, with the icing event that we had, I don't have a specific problem on that.
Hey Scott, this is Andre. Just let you know that I'm interested in that project. So just tell Marianne to reach out if she feels that there's a fit there.
Yeah, I think there's a fit, Andre. We'll have like 2 of Andre's sensor on our turbines. They're Senvions as well, and I presented that on Monday, but we're installing load measurement instrumentation as well in the blades. So probably can combine like ice detection, load measurement, as well as pitch current. And Andre's detector is also able to detect the ice type. So I'm wondering if climate conditions we have here in Gaspé may not be representative for most of the events we have to what is observed by Enbridge, but maybe some of the events we have are representative. So,
well, I mean, one of the things you should look at is make sure that it is ice, or potentially we're confident it is ice. Perhaps it's something else that's happening. So, just taking a look at site conditions for anyone who's interested in participating may direct a root cause elsewhere. It kind of looks like ice from what you described, but I think we should confirm if that's the case.
Yeah. I don't know, Ryan, if we have a last quick question for the last 3 minutes that we have.
Nothing specific, just I like the connections being made today in terms of people interested in the same topics, and I'm sure we all hope to see that continue throughout the next session, and just to kind of keep in mind topics that you think would be useful for dedicated discussions, and we can try to convene those in terms of larger research project potential in the next few months.
Yes, so the next webinar is Friday, the forecasting and offshore wind. So is at the same time, same schedule, but Friday. And also, I'm thinking you have a goal to come back from a few months later about what is the result and the objective for wind research network, for next wind research network, and next objective on a more Canadian perspective point of view. So if you have no other question, thank you for everybody to be here, and see you soon, and maybe in not in virtual, but in real life.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye all.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.